I'm here. I'm a little late. I got a flurry of last second questions that I had to put into the document that I used to show you all the questions on screen. So in a way, it's your fault that I'm that I'm running a little late. You've got all week, and you put your throw. I got 4 questions within the last 3 minutes. I'm not complaining though. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much for your interest and for submitting questions and for being patrons and members to begin with, which is the only way you can submit a question ahead of time anyway. So I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining. I'm complaining in a good natured, fun way, and hopefully that comes across. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. As always, I will be answering questions that were submitted ahead of time by my wonderful Patreon patrons and channel members. So if you are with us in the live chat and you have a question for me there, or you were going to be generous and toss in a super chat or something like that, anything you wanted me to notice and pay attention to and respond to, please, if at all possible, hold on to those things until I get through the patron and member questions. And then the rest of the show will be devoted to me hanging out with you here in the live chat. Dana tapping tapping toe. It certainly sounded like you were complaining. Oh, CMAC, that's really mean what you said there when you said sounds like DJ. It's really mean. I know that you mean it in a joking way. Anyway, okay, let's get started, and then I will be more available to hang out and joke around with the chat afterwards. Okay, patron questions, patron and member questions. The first one comes from William Tucker, who says, "Why does the song Barracuda by Heart have a galloping beat like a horse and not like a fish?" Well, that's what a fish sounds like underwater. You need to make the adjustment. You're thinking about, like, what things sound like in air, and if you stick your head under water and a barracuda swims by, it actually sounds exactly like that. So you need to take that into account. Cindy says, favorite Rob Reiner movie and why? Um, I'm going to assume this means directed by Rob Reiner, because he really didn't act in too many movies. I mean, he did, but he was, he's like a supporting character or something. Favorite Rob, probably Princess Bride. I mean, I know that's like the easiest thing to say, but when I go through his catalog, like film by film, I think that's the one that I like the most unreservedly. Like, there are other films of his that I either don't like or that I like, but that I have certain issues with. But really, I mean, in terms of like movies that he did that I think are just about perfect, it's like Spinal Tap and Princess Bride. Yeah, and I think I would choose Princess Bride over Spinal Tap because Princess Bride has heart. Not that Spinal Tap is a brilliant film, and it's not like completely cold-hearted. There's a little bit of pathos in it, but it's mostly, a straight ahead comedy, and it's a brilliant one. But Princess Bride is really funny, but also has a heart to it. And so yeah, Princess Bride. And then Luxinda says, AKA Cindy, the questions are related, see? Favorite Rob Reiner role and why? Again, it's going to be the easy choice, but it's Mike from All in the Family. Meathead. You know, he and Carol O'Connor as Archie were a comedy duo, and usually, not always, Mike was the straight man of that comedy duo, because Archie was the more larger than life character. Archie was usually the one who did the more explicitly funny stuff. Archie was usually the butt of the joke. He was the one we were supposed to be laughing at. But that duo would not have worked if Rob Reiner as Meathead had not held up his end and had not been so good at playing exasperation and like dumbfoundedness, like when Archie would say something just utterly deranged as though it was the most reasonable thing in the world. And, Mike had to do that. And he was great at that, especially in the 70s when he had that hair and that mustache and he could do that blank face of like, did this guy just say what I think he said? Like he was brilliant at that. And there were a lot of times when Archie would say something just completely outrageous. And then there would be the cut to Mike just sitting there dumbfounded. And that would actually be the laugh. Not so much what Archie said, but Meathead's reaction to it. So, I mean, yeah, he was great. I don't think he gets enough credit, especially since he went on to become a very successful director. He kind of outgrew that role, which was good for him as an artist. But I don't think he gets as much credit as an actor for how great he was in that show, because everybody thinks Carol O'Connor was great, and Carol O'Connor was brilliant. One of the great performances in the history of television. He was absolutely flawless as Archie Bunker. And then Jean Stapleton, of course, as Edith. Same thing. Just brilliant, just genius. She was absolute genius. But with all due respect to Sally Struthers, I think number 3 there has to be Rob Reiner as Mike. And when Rob Reiner and Sally Struthers left that show, and Mike and Gloria were no longer regulars on the show, the heart went out of that show. Like they should have, the last episode of All in the Family should have been the episode where Mike and Gloria left, because once they were gone, the wind was just out of it. It had good episodes after that. Like there were memorable shows after that era of after that first era where Mike and Gloria were there, but few and far between. And Rob Reiner, the actor, the performer, deserved a lot of credit for that. Some random geek just sharing a movie list. R.I.P. Rob Reiner. Yep. A friend put together a list of his top 20 films of the 2000s. I made a similar list. Here are my favorite films released between 2000 and 2020. Okay. In random order. I like that. I would probably do it. I would either do it chronologically or random order. I don't really like, ranking things. Knives Out, Mad Max Fury Road, Paprika, Summer Wars, Your Name, A Silent Voice, The Last Jedi, Parasite, Searching, Won't You Be My Neighbor, Wolf Children, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Lord of the Rings, Kill Bill, Memento, Get Out, The Dark Knight, WALL-E, and Tokyo Godfathers. That's a good list of the ones that I have seen, and there are several on there that I haven't seen, so I can't comment on. But there's of the ones that I have seen, the only one that I would quibble with would be Lord of the Rings. I don't ever have to watch those movies ever again for the rest of my life. But you know how I feel about that. So that's, it's a matter of taste. But all the other movies on there that I have seen, I would not argue with at all being in a best movies of the century so far list. Those are some really solid picks, my friend. And here's another one from some random geek who reminds folks about the giving season. Yes, indeed. Remember, everyone, about charitylinks.page. Please give money to Joanna Roberts, who has a trans NB son that she wants to give Christmas gifts to. Linequin and Naz the Neko also want to have a fun Christmas together and give each other something. Joey has been passing the hat around, asking for help as well. Phoenix is still hoping for their Ko-fi goal of $5,000 to be filled before the new year. It's only 26% full. My friends are in this situation because of capitalism and the system. So yes, I will, as I usually do when Geek brings it up at this point in the show, I will also remind you all about charitylinks.page, and I will remind you all again at the end of the show. And more even than usual, because it is this time of year, because it is, as Geek says, the giving season. It's the holidays, the Christmas season for those of us who celebrate Christmas. And yeah, if you have the ability to make the holiday of someone in need a little better, a little easier, a little brighter, a little happier, please do that. And you can find links to do that for the friends of ours that we've mentioned here and others as well at charitylinks.page. So yes, absolutely. Season of giving. And if you're able to give, please do so. Faragrim. Hello from myself and my husband. I'm Steve. He's Eric. Hello. I appreciate your condolences for the loss of my grandpa last Ask Away. Any must-see holiday movies you think should be watched every year at this time? I'd love to know your personal top 5 if you have a top 5 for Christmas time. Happy holidays, and if you celebrate, Merry Christmas. I do celebrate. I celebrate a traditional secular Christmas as an atheist. I do not celebrate the birth of Christ, as it were. But yeah, top 5 personal Christmas time movies. Um gee. It's like there are a couple. Well, no, I'll tell you what, there's one. I mean, look, Miracle on 34th Street is my number one. That's my favorite. That's one of the few that I make sure to watch every single year. And then there are others. It's kind of a loose rotation. Sometimes, some years I'll watch some years I'll watch. But I think there's two. There's Miracle on 34th Street and the Alastair Sim version of A Christmas Carol. I don't always watch them on Christmas Day itself, but often I do. But I make sure to watch them every year at Christmas time, and those are the only two that I absolutely always watch. And then there are others that kind of come and go, like Batman Returns. I make an effort to watch Batman Returns every Christmas time. I used to watch The Ref. The Ref is such a great movie. I still watch The Ref every once in a while, but I'm not as keen on it because of the Kevin Spacey of it all, because Kevin Spacey is in it. He's one of the main characters. And I mean, it's such a good movie. And it kind of sucks that finding out what a piece of shit Kevin Spacey was has tainted it for me a little bit. And I'm not as eager to watch it, but I can still watch it and sort of mentally put that part of it aside and enjoy it. But The Ref was also one that I always used to really like. What else? I will hold off a little bit because I know there are some other questions that ask about Christmas movies, or holiday movies. But yeah, the ones that I always watch are Miracle on 34th Street and the Alastair Sim Christmas Carol. Yeah, but there's a bunch of them. I mean, there's a bunch. My advice for anyone looking for holiday movies to watch is be adventurous. There's so many Christmas and holiday themed movies to choose from. But look, scroll through a streaming service or go to a library that has a good DVD or Blu-ray collection or whatever, and find something that looks good to you that you haven't seen and give it a shot. Because you might find something that you're never going to want to watch again, or you might find something that you'll want to watch every year. You know. Jim Kostich, the Republican Party currently faces the past, hoping to imitate an imaginary, better past to make a good future. Those who are scientific, reasoning, and motivated by goodwill toward all want to face forward to make the best future because we know from experience what works. Does the USA still have the freedom to do that work, cooperate and collaborate that way, or are we suppressed? I would say to a large degree we are suppressed right now, but that doesn't have to last forever. You know, um, I'll give you an example. That is a symbolic example that doesn't actually affect anyone's life, but it's the same sort of thing. Trump trying to rename the Kennedy Center after himself, right? He wants to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center, and the board of the Kennedy Center, which is now all handpicked people by him, voted to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center, which they can't legally do because Congress is the one that named it the Kennedy Center, and only Congress can change the name of it. And Trump doesn't care. They've already put the new letters up on the side of the building. Like the side of the building of the Kennedy Center now says the Donald Trump and the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. But the thing about that, and that sucks, and that's an obscenity, that's graffiti. Like that's vandalism to put Donald Trump's name on the side of the Kennedy Center. That's cultural vandalism. But the thing about that is those letters can come off just as easily as they went on. And one day in the next few years, I am hopeful that they will. So that's the way you need to look at it. Are we suppressed at the moment? Yes. Will we always be? No. And we need to remember the lessons that we learned during this time, when the environment has changed. Let's put it that way. But yeah, that's I think that's the best way to look at it. John January, JJ, I have recently been re-exposed to the 1940s Superman cartoon, and I truly love it. The art direction is just so fantastic. The stories are fun, if occasionally scandalous to 2025 eyes, but I'm curious about your thoughts on it. If you've previously covered, just link me. Thanks for all the smarts and laughs and hopes and fishes. Well, I'm not going to link you now because I'm doing a live stream, but if you go on my channel and go to the best Superman ever playlist, it's the first episode. The first best Superman ever video that I ever did was about the Fleischer brothers Superman cartoons because that's my favorite version of Superman. I mean, of all the comics, of all the adaptations, movies, TV shows, radio shows, whatever, my very, very, very favorite version of Superman ever is those Fleischer brothers cartoons from the early 40s. I just think they're perfect. I mean, yes, they're unfortunately there is some racism and xenophobia that was the result of they were made during most of them were made during World War II, and there are a few that are like really um, you know, rabidly racist and xenophobic toward Japanese people. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff from that era that is like that. But setting those aside, um, I mean, in terms of like little adventure stories and little superheroes, like they're just amazing. They're wonderful. Yeah, they look gorgeous. They're these perfect little 6 or 7 minute stories. And yeah, the depiction of Superman is perfect. I love the level of power that he has. I love that he's not like, you know, he's not so powerful that he can do anything. He's got the basic set of Superman powers. He's got the classic Superman power set. He's bulletproof, he's strong, he's fast, he can fly, he can do shit with his eyes. He can, he has breath. He has a good set of lungs, like that's classic Superman. And yeah, I love them. I love them so much. I cannot overstate how much I love the Fleischer Brothers Superman cartoons. So yeah, I'm glad that you have rediscovered them and that you enjoy them as well. General Contact Unit Problem Child. Do we need sci-fi that shows a world that's better than ours, but not just total post-scarcity socialist utopia? I love the Star Trek verse, but it's kind of way too fantastically to be really aspirational in our real world. I don't just mean the technology. I very much doubt money will be abolished in any of our lifetimes. I'd love to see a story set in a future where money still exists, but there's, say, UBI and universal housing, because I can imagine those things actually happening before like 2100. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good thing. I feel like you would always need to have a story first. I feel like if you go into it with the approach of we are going to make a sci-fi show with the main purpose of being aspirational for ways in which, people could or should change society, and if that's what you lead with, then I don't know how successful you're going to be, because you're going to end up being didactic and preachy, and you're not going to have characters and stories that are going to engage people. Whereas, yes, Star Trek definitely has that political and that aspirational element, and it's necessary. And I think Star Trek has to have that, but it also has story and character. It is first and foremost an adventure show, a drama, a show that, pulls people in and gets you to care about the story and the characters, at least when it's good, when it's working. And so you need something like that, but sure. Yeah, I do think, it might be useful, let's say, to do a sci-fi show that's a little more closer to our own reality, but that depicts a better, more reformed, more evolved version of our society, where some of our immediate problems have been addressed in ways that make things better, that maybe don't completely fix everything, but that make things better in ways that we could start meaningfully working toward today. Sure, I think that would be a good thing, and it might even do some good, provided that it was actually a good show and not just, here's what we should do and here's our agenda, just, like thinly disguised as a drama series. Ed Best. Okay, I love your series on Star Trek jobs that we don't really think of very often. It got me thinking, have you ever thought about doing a Star Trek What If series? I've enjoyed them for Marvel. I've enjoyed them for Star Wars. I think you're the perfect person to do a series like that for Star Trek. What do you think? Um, I mean, you're going to have to talk to Paramount because here's the thing. I think if someone from Paramount ever sent me a letter and was mad at me for doing those Starfleet Jobs video, I could say those are satire. Those are parody. I am making fun of Star Trek by pointing out, things about the Star Trek franchise and making fun of them. And I am also using the framework of Star Trek as a satirical device to also satirize and comment upon societal problems. And therefore, I think this qualifies as a fair use of the intellectual property, right? I'm not just going off and making my own Star Trek. I'm spoofing it and I'm using it for, a commentary purpose, which I think I could say, which I believe is allowed under fair use. And I think I could, successfully argue as such if I was ever challenged on that. But what you're describing is just a Star Trek show. And I can't and won't just start making my own Star Trek show. That's not that is not my right legally. And also, to be honest, I don't want to do a Star Trek What If show. I'm not interested in that at all. I've enjoyed the Marvel What If series, the Marvel What If animated series on Disney Plus. I'm not familiar with any of the Star Wars stuff, but as far as myself as a storyteller, if I were hired to write something for Star Trek, a What If series would be close to the bottom of my list. I'm just not interested in doing that at all. But I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter anyway, because I don't have the right to do that. But I'm glad that you like my stuff, and I'm glad that you think I'd be good at it. And I'm glad that at least one person would watch it if that show ever existed. Will Napier, what are your thoughts on the scenario of a Star Trek future, but we have to go through World War III versus no nuclear exchange, but we have Handmaid's Tale instead? Wow. I'd be interested in your take on this from your perspective as not only an American voter. It does occur to me that the American government are front and center in both scenarios, but also as a global citizen. That's a great philosophical question. So we have World War III and tens of millions of people die, but the outgrowth of that is Star Trek future. Or we don't have World War III and tens of millions of people don't die, but instead we get the Handmaid's Tale. That's it. I mean, the Handmaid's Tale style government doesn't last forever. That's the thing. I mean, I haven't read the book. But I mean, if we're trying to map this onto reality, like that sort of government, like religious dictatorships, authoritarian dictatorships like that, they don't last forever. So it's tempting for me to say, let's skip the nuclear war that kills tens of millions of people and struggle under the Handmaid's Tale government for however many years or decades. And then once we get to the other side of that, then we can rebuild and hopefully, start improving people's lives without having to claw ourselves back up from complete nuclear devastation. But it's a really, really interesting question. And I could easily see making an argument for the opposite one, which I think is a test of what makes something a really good philosophical question. But if I just sitting here thinking about it for a few minutes, if I absolutely had to pick one, I would say no nuclear exchange, but Handmaid's Tale instead. But it could go another way if I think about it a little longer. It's a really good question. Debbie, hi Steve. The episode Journey to Babel, we meet Spock's mom. Was she played by Jane Wyman or Jane Wyatt? I know Jane Wyman was President Reagan's first wife. Just wondering which actress it was. Please do more readings of great books. You were wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Debbie. I really appreciated that. And I appreciated your comments that you left on all of those Great Gatsby videos. That was Jane Wyatt. Jane Wyatt played Spock's mom. Yeah. Jane Wyman, not only was Jane Wyman President Reagan's first wife and a star in her own right, wasn't she? She was on Falcon Crest in the 80s. That was kind of her second career. That was her second act in her career. She was on Falcon Crest in the 80s. She was not Spock's mom. Jane Wyatt was Spock's mom. Neil Klein, your recent video on men and women riding in elevators was sad because it shouldn't have needed saying, but had to be said. Thank you. Please keep shining a light on the ludicrous extrapolations we keep seeing from the political extremists. It's bonkers. Finally, I wondered about your thoughts on Firefly as far as storytelling. Cheers. As far as storytelling, I mean, it was fine. I think pretty much everything about Firefly was fine. That was actually, for people who remember back that far, who remember back 6 or 7 years, however long it's been. I guess it's been about 5 years, hasn't it? Maybe 4 years. I don't know. But Firefly was the first not Star Trek show that Dana and I watched for Trek Reluctantly. When Trek Reluctantly started, it was we would alternate between watching Deep Space Nine and Firefly, because Dana had never seen Deep Space Nine, and other than maybe the first episode or two, I had never watched Firefly. And now I have watched Firefly, and I barely remember it. It was fine. Like, it was fine. I can't think of anything in particular that I found that was wrong with it. It was good. It was, I enjoyed watching it while we were watching it. Am I ever going to watch it again? Probably not. But it was fine. So in terms of its storytelling, yeah, I think it was fine. I can't really give you any more specific comments because it didn't really capture my imagination. I liked it, but as soon as it was over, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've seen that. Amara et al. Sometimes I'm not sure which chief medical officer is going to show up. Is it the Bashir who refuses to package that biomimetic gel without it in writing, or the Bashir who will wipe your drunk brother's memory? Is it nearly award-winning profit motive Bashir, or not nearly enough absent profit and lace Bashir? Who's actually the most inconsistent on the Hippocratic Oath? That's a great question. And that's a really good observation that, yes, we often think, at least I do, I often think of Bashir's character arc in terms of like his emotional maturity and how he goes from kind of, like a callow young horn dog who's sort of chasing after Jadzia, and then over the seasons, by like season 3 and 4, he's matured and grown up, and he's got O'Brien as a best friend, and he seems a little more together and a little more serious. And I don't often think of how his medical ethics are portrayed. And yeah, there are some pretty serious lapses in medical ethics from Bashir. But the thing is, the interesting thing is, those examples that you mentioned, like Bashir wiping Worf's brother's memory without consulting the brother himself as to whether this is even something he wants, like that's treated within the show as something that's fine, ethically speaking. Like, it's regarded as like a tragic thing. But in terms of like, should a doctor even do this, ethically speaking, like that question is never even brought up. So like, it's not just that Bashir's ethics are questionable sometimes. The show itself, and maybe we could say the creators of the show, their medical ethics are a little sketchy from time to time too, because yeah, you're like, wait a minute, what? He shouldn't be like that. If we're supposed to like accept him as a good doctor, he should not be doing this. So yeah, it's a really really good observation about, and it's a side of Bashir that I don't often think about in terms of his the medical ethics side of his character. Wolfram and Hart. Hey, Steve, in Batman history mood. So one question, 2 parts. Were you aware of the 15 short film serials of Batman from 1943 and Do a Vid? Though anti-Japanese war propaganda with Batman, a government secret agent, it did popularize Batman for the masses. 2, not in your last public domain vid, Do you agree 1929's Am I Blue by Oxt and Clark is public domain? This was sung by Kevin Conroy's Batman and Justice League episode Little Piggy, also starring Zatanna and Wonder Woman. Sing it if you want. I don't know the song and I don't remember the episode, so I will not be singing it. But I did. I didn't listen to the song, but I did look it up earlier this week to make sure. And yes, that song is public domain. Yes. Um, yes, that song is public domain. I mean, if I didn't mention it in my last public domain vid, that's not a comprehensive list. I like I mentioned the things that were of interest to me or that I thought was important. Not necessarily every single thing that became public domain, but yes, that song is public domain. And yes, I am very aware of the 1943 Batman serial. I have it on DVD, as I also have the was it 49? 48 or 49, the second Batman serial, which was called Batman and Robin. I have that one as well. I might do a video about it at some point. I don't have plans for one right now, but I agree it's a really interesting project. It's a really interesting sort of mile marker in Batman's history, because remember, that's 1943, so that's only 4 years since Batman was first published. So it's, not only is it the first live action Batman, it's within the first few years of the creation of the character that, still exists today and went on to become like, the most popular superhero ever. So it's a really interesting time capsule. Yes, it is like I was saying about a couple of the shorts of the Fleischer Superman. Unfortunately, it's super xenophobic. It's super anti-Japanese. It's definitely a piece of war propaganda, and so you have to examine it through that lens and reckon with that. But it's really and honestly, dramatically, it's not that great of a serial. I mean, there are other adventure serials from the 30s and 40s that are way better, way more interesting, way more fun to watch than that Batman serial. But it's an interesting artifact, I'll put it that way. And I could see making a video about it at some point. I have no plans for it at this time, but I have it. I've watched it several times over the years. Um, yeah. So I'm more than familiar with it. David Colby in the cellar with a sousaphone. You can kill someone pretty good if you hit them in the head with a sousaphone. So I watched and, like most right-thinking adults, adored Wake Up Dead Man. Did you ever notice how non-believers, or at least people not setting out to make capital C Christian movies, are way better at capturing the things that are appealing about the Christian faith than like the actual propagandists? I guess if you're bad at filmmaking, you got to fall back on the Jesus Chizo. So, what did you think of Wake Up Dead Man? I thought it was great. I loved it. Um, I thought it was fantastic. And you are right. It it definitely makes a good case for what might be the appeal of religion to, for good people, not for people that just want to use it to, beat others over the head with, their morals, or to give themselves an excuse to think they're better than other people, or to give fearful people something to hide, like all of the negative things that religion does and the negative ways that religion attracts people, not just Christianity, but all religion. Um, a movie like Wake Up Dead Man can also show you a more sympathetic side, a more compelling side. Um, and I think that's kind of like, I think Benoit Blanc sort of ends up in that place where he doesn't he doesn't convert to Christianity. He still rejects religion for the same reason that he always did, primarily because he thinks that it's just false, that God does not exist. Therefore, he's not a Christian, he's not anything. And I feel like a lot of Christians and a lot of people of faith who are trying to like win over skeptics, they don't really get that. Like even if you are persuaded that there is some form of a religion that does have positive aspects and you can understand the appeal of it and maybe even feel the appeal of it yourself, that whole, well, but I don't think the supernatural claims are true thing, that's a big obstacle to get over. Like you can sell me that your faith is the most beautiful, loving, life affirming faith in the world. That's great. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you have that. But if part of that faith is, and there exists an omnipotent God who created the universe and loves you, like, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't think that is factually true. So I'm not going to be a part of your religion, but I'm glad that it makes you happy, right? And I kind of think that's where Benoit Blanc ends up. And with Father Judd, you can sort of see how he gets there, because that's the kind of Christian that Father Judd is. And he's the kind of Christian that you sort of wish more Christians, especially more Christian pastors and priests and faith leaders, were like, you know. So yeah, but it's a critical angle, and it's a skeptical angle on religion, and it's an angle on religion that prioritizes the human elements of it and the humanistic elements of it in a way that a lot of, like, most of the kinds of people that would make, as you say, capital C Christian movies that are just, works of propaganda, would not be capable of having the kind of engagement with the concept of Christianity that a movie like Wake Up Dead Man has. So I thought it was a great movie, and I thought its conversation about Christian faith, about faith in general and Christian faith specifically, was really, really interesting. Yeah. The Grumpy Monkey. The following polemic does not apply to Steve and his US audience. Duly noted. I watched your reaction vid to the passing of the Reiners. Good video, but I'm afraid that we get the politicians we deserve. The orange shit stain in chief is a symptom of what the U.S. has become. I think how so many of your compatriots bang on about God and Scripture, yet if they followed the most simple of Jesus's teachings, love thy neighbor, just 3 words, then what a world it would be. Ronald Reagan once called the U.S. the shining city on the hill. My ass, more like a country of fucking hypocrites. I cannot disagree with anything you say. I think that's absolutely right. And it's interesting how it connects to, the previous question talking about religion and Wake Up Dead Man. And yeah, if more Christian, and look, there are plenty of Christian people who are wonderful, lovely people who make the world a better place every day. I'm not saying that all Christians are like shitty people. But yes, if more people who claim to follow the teachings of Jesus would love thy neighbor, would love the poor, would care for the less fortunate, then yes, what a wonderful world it would be, wouldn't it? And what a different world it would be. Agent Meister, who can't get over her until she gets out from under him. Peldor Joy, Steve. I recently watched and really enjoyed the Planet of the Apes prequel trilogy from the 2010s, even though I had zero knowledge or interest in the Planet of the Apes franchise beforehand. I know you know a thing or 6 about Planet of the Apes, so would love to hear your thoughts on the trilogy. Do you think they were prequels that didn't need to be made, or are they good movies in their own right? Also, thank you so much for another year of great content, and I hope you and yours have a happy Christmas. Thank you very much, and the same to you and yours. No, I love those recent Planet of the Apes movies, and one of the things I really love about them is that even though, yes, they are prequels in the sense that they're Planet of the Apes movies, but they are set prior to, or most of them are set prior to the apes actually taking over the planet, right? That they work perfectly well as their own thing. They don't, there are a few moments in them that are a little prequely where, like, you have, like, a character will say a famous line from one of the original Planet of the Apes movies or something like that. And I wish they just wouldn't have done any of that at all. I hate when prequels do that, when, like, they'll have a character say a line from one of the other movies and you're supposed to go like, "Ooh, I know what that is." Like, I hate that. I would cut out all of that shit 100% of the time. And there's a little bit of that in the Planet of the Apes, in the recent Planet of the Apes movies. But for the most part, in terms other than being under the Planet of the Apes umbrella, just in terms of like their own, the plot and the story and the arc of the whole thing, they're their own thing. And they work wonderfully on their own. And I think they're great. I like all of them. I have liked all of them. I think there been 4 of them now. I've liked them all, and they work completely fine. If you have absolutely no knowledge of the classic series from the 60s and 70s, yeah, I really, really enjoy the recent Planet of the Apes series, and I'm glad you like them too. Greg the Semi-Great Gildersleeve. Hey, Steve, I've been following your channel for a couple of months and particularly enjoy your reviews. I notice in your reviews of TOS episodes, you frequently say the pacing was too slow. Do you think this may be a product of the times? 1960s TV shows seemed to be paced much differently than TV shows of later eras. Which TOS episodes do you think were well paced? How many hats does Geek have? I don't know, but I know it's a lot. Geek will have to tell you themselves how many hats they have, but that's a lot. Episodes of Star Trek that I think were well paced. I think Amok Time is pretty well paced. If I recall, it's been a while since I've watched some of them, but most of the episodes of TOS that I really, really like, that I count among my favorites, like Amok Time, like Balance of Terror, Corbomite Maneuver. I don't remember having significant pacing issues with them. And yes, some of it might be that it was a product of the times, but like I've watched a lot of TV from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and yes, the pacing was different. But the pacing being different than it is today is not the same thing as the pacing being bad. And I think with a lot of those classic Star Trek shows, it's not just that the pacing is different than it would be on a modern show. A slow pace is fine. A slower pace than a typical modern show is fine. The episode dragging is not fine. The episode feeling like it's filling time is not fine, or treading water. Like that's what I'm talking about. It's not just that it's a slower pace. I have no problem with a slow pace if that's what the story needs and if it's done well. But it shouldn't feel like it's dragging. It shouldn't feel like, oh, we didn't quite have enough to fill 51 minutes or whatever the runtime was back then. So we're going to have to kind of, space this out a little. That's the problem. That's the problem. Stephen G. Clenard. Hey, Steve, Christmas sucks. I hate Christmas, and I hate everyone and anyone who perpetuates it by celebrating it. But most of all, I hate fucking Christmas music. This year, I'd like to locate the grave of Burl Ives and take a shit on it. Oh, anyhow, how do you like to spend the holiday season? I pop in my Christmas Classics by Burl Ives CD, and I sing along to every song, all of which I know by heart. I mean, I don't do anything special. A lot of the questions are Christmas related, so I don't want to give everything away here. But I watch Christmas movies. I listen to Christmas music. Sometimes I'll drive around and look at Christmas lights. On Christmas Day, I have dinner with my family. I do Christmas stuff. I like Christmas. You know what? I might like Christmas even more than I like Phil Collins. I wonder, did Phil Collins ever do a Christmas album? I should look that up. I wonder if Phil Collins ever sang Holly Jolly Christmas. Eric P., who only remembers once every other year to ask a question. Well, you're here now, Eric, and that's what really matters. Lately, a great many people online wax poetically about the hopeful passing soon of the Mango Mussolini. I would certainly happily piss on his grave. However, too many seem to believe things will automatically just get better and don't ask what's next. I believe things will get worse if his number 2, the couch lover, comes into power. Yes, he is an opportunist, but he is in many ways a true believer and a much smarter, more stable person. What do you think? Will we be better or worse, and why? I honestly don't know, because I think a lot depends on how many members of the Trump cult are willing to get behind Vance. Because you're right, Vance on his own is a fucking shit show. He's a racist. He's a fascist. He's the bad things that Trump is, but he's also, I mean, he would almost have to be more competent than Trump. Nobody is certainly less competent than Donald Trump. The man is a buffoon. So in that sense, I think Vance could be a lot more dangerous. But Vance will not have the cult of personality that Trump, for reasons which still evade my understanding, has gathered around him. Trump will not, or Vance is not Trump. And I think that will harm him, but help us. If he ever actually becomes president, if Trump doesn't make it through the end of the term. But so I don't know. It could go either way. There are certain ways in which he is worse than Trump, and there are certain ways in which he's not better than Trump necessarily, but would not have the same advantages that Trump enjoys. But I do think your question points out something really important, which is, yes, if Trump dies in office, or wouldn't, however it happens, whether Trump dies in office or we just get to the end of his term and he's gone, either way, Trump not being there anymore will be a great thing and will be a cause for celebration, and we will celebrate and we should celebrate. But we should not pretend that once Trump is gone, everything is fine. Trump and his administration have done such immense damage to this country, to our culture, to our government, to our standing in the world, to our relationships with other countries, to our people. Like, it's going to take a long, long time to fix the damage that the Trump presidency and the Trump movement have done. Getting rid of Trump is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. But that's just going to be the beginning of something, not the end of anything. So it's very important that we all remember that. Lynn Kibblemom, recently on your retro review of a TNG episode, you said that Gene Roddenberry interfered with the director by saying that 24th century humans wouldn't act the way he was directing the actors. I hold Gene Roddenberry largely to blame for the poor quality of the episodes in the first and second seasons of TNG, and think if he had lived and continued to be involved in TNG's production, the series run would have been much shorter. Do you agree? Why do you think his attitude regarding human behavior changed so much from TOS to TNG? This is a really good question. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I do. Look, there's a pattern in Star Trek shows during Gene Roddenberry's lifetime. The pattern is Gene is really heavily involved and the show's not so great. And then Gene is no longer as heavily involved and the show immediately gets a lot better. And the only one this really doesn't hold true to is the original Star Trek. In the original Star Trek, Gene was involved throughout the series, especially in the first two seasons. And I love Classic Trek. I mean, Classic Trek has some really terrible episodes, but Classic Trek also has some absolute classic episodes. And overall, I think it was a really good show. Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's the only one of the movies that Gene Roddenberry was fully involved with. And I know people still like that movie. There are parts of that movie that I like, but overall, I mean, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, not my favorite Star Trek movie. I don't think it's most people's favorite Star Trek movie. It's not necessarily what you imagine when you think, oh, let's make a Star Trek movie. It doesn't really, you're like, yeah, let's make it like a cheesy ripoff of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Gene Roddenberry was taken off the project after Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The studio said, okay, you've had your shot at making your TV show into a movie. We actually own it, so we're going to move you over here. They brought in a completely different team, right? And they brought in Harve Bennett to sort of be the Gene Roddenberry for the movies from that point on. And immediately, boom, Star Trek II. right? Like the quality increases exponentially. Same thing happens in TNG. Roddenberry takes a step back, eventually dies, and you get what? TNG season 4, season 5, season 6, like the best years of that show, creatively speaking, were after Roddenberry was no longer involved with the show. So yes, that's a pattern in Star Trek. Um, I think part of it is that I don't think Gene Roddenberry was ever that great of a writer. I think he was always the idea man. And yes, as he got older, I think as his fame increased, I think as the Star Trek fans of that time venerated him and saw him as a visionary, I think a lot of that, I think he internalized a lot of that. And he started believing his own marketing and thinking maybe Star Trek is like a prophecy. Maybe I am meant to show humanity the way. I think a lot of that is maybe what happened. And I don't know. I mean, it's almost like he grew less mature over the years emotionally in terms of his work, because the idea of, well, humanity will grow and evolve and be perfected once once we overcome our emotions and once we don't have these feelings anymore, like that to me is a really immature attitude. That's like a childish attitude. That's like a person who has felt pain in their life and have decided that the best solution is just that nobody feels any pain. It's like a child's solution to a problem. So Roddenberry saying, well, humanity will evolve and will grow and will no longer be defined by its conflicts with each other because they just won't have the emotions that cause the conflict anymore. They'll have outgrown this. And that it just seems like a really childish view of human nature. And I'm not sure exactly how Roddenberry came to that later in his life, but he did. And yes, I do think it definitely affected the quality of the shows for the worst. JDC, hey Steve, hope you'll forgive a bit of crowdsourcing, but please skip this one if not. This is a long shot, but could anybody in the audience recommend a urologist with a record of success removing prostates with smooth muscle tumors, leiomyosarcoma from fat men, asking for my innards? For those of you with prostates, if you're on the young side of middle age and they can't tell you why it's hard to pee, you might want to ask for a biopsy. Surprises are not always fun. Take care, everybody. Well, JDC, I am really, really sorry to hear that. I hope everything goes well. Best of luck to you with your search for a urologist who can remove that prostate. I hope that that's as far as that goes. And yeah, if anybody watching has any suggestions, I mean, if you're with us in the chat right now and you have any suggestions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment. But yeah, I hope that you can find the doctor you're looking for, my friend, and best of luck with that. Jim P. Hi, Steve. Now that Netflix is taking over Warner Brothers, how worried are you about it? I'm a bit worried about them phasing out theater releases, and there will be less avenues for creatives to get their projects made. Have a great holiday. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not worried about it, but I think it's inevitable anyway. Whether Netflix bought Warner Brothers or not, I think that's just the direction things are going. I think theatrical releases are going to gradually decrease until eventually they will be the exception rather than the rule. I don't think that theatrical releases for movies will ever completely go away, but I think we will get to a point where those are just kind of a niche specialty thing, and going to the 16 screen multiplex to see the hot new movie, that's not going to be the norm anymore. It's very quickly becoming not the norm now, as the window between a theatrical release and a streaming release gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So I mean, I do think the Netflix sale of Warner Brothers will accelerate that, but it was going to happen eventually anyway. So in that sense, I'm not more worried about it because Netflix is buying Warner Brothers. It's just the direction things are going. Glenn H. going boldly where no one has. Oh, wait, there are other people here. Never mind. Hey, Steve, have you seen Roddenberry's non-Star Trek works, Genesis 2 and Planet Earth? I watched them recently on Tubi, and, well, they are very Roddenberry. take that as you may. But Planet Earth has surprise appearances by Diana Muldaur and Majel Barrett. Well, an appearance by Majel Barrett in a Gene Roddenberry project is never a surprise. While I love Star Trek, based on watching these, I realize that Roddenberry is not the flawless auteur that he is held up as. Looking forward to your thoughts. Thanks and have a good show. I have not watched either of those shows. I am probably not going to, but I love Star Trek as well, but if you watch Star Trek, you should know that Roddenberry is not a flawless auteur. We were, as we were just talking. Gene Roddenberry did a very good job of convincing some of the most uncritical and devoted fans of Star Trek that he was a visionary and a flawless auteur and someone who, you know, was calling humanity to a better future. But the truth is, he was a mediocre writer who had a pretty good idea for a sci-fi adventure show. And there's a lot of things about Star Trek that Roddenberry deserves a huge amount of credit for. But there's also a lot about Star Trek that people who are not Gene Roddenberry deserve a hell of a lot of credit for. And during his lifetime, Roddenberry tended to pull in all that oxygen for himself. So, yeah, I mean, I at least in my adulthood, and probably for most of my adolescence as well, I was very much of the opinion that Gene Roddenberry was not anywhere close to flawless, nor was he an auteur. But I'm glad that his non-Star Trek work has given that impression as well. Kara the Tolkien Nerd. Hi, Steve. You have spoken extensively of how annoying a character Loxana Troy is. Mine is Wesley Crusher. Which of those two characters could you quite happily eject out of an airlock or maroon on a planet Robinson Crusoe style? Thoughts, Kara? Oh, Loxana. I would murder her. I wouldn't maroon her on a planet because she could always get rescued. I would kill her. I would either push her out of the airlock or I'd, beam her molecules into space. She would be dead. She'd be gone. I would never do that to Wesley. Wesley is not near the top. I mean, look, especially Wesley as he's portrayed in TNG, is not my favorite character, but there are a couple of good Wesley episodes. And Wesley in Star Trek Prodigy is actually quite good. He appears in the second season of Star Trek Prodigy, and he's very good. But no, there even aside from Loxana Troy, there's other Star Trek characters I would eject out of the airlock before Wesley. Icheb would be dead. Alexander would be dead. There's a few who I would take out before I got to Wesley. And here's another one from Kara, because Kara is both a patron and a member. Hi, Steve. Don't know if I get a member question too. If not, ignore this. I won't mind, but you do get another one. I was looking up best TNG eps, and they put Chain of Command at number 11. I'd rate it higher. What about you, Kara? Oh, I'd rate it much higher. I think Chain of Command is one of my favorite TNG episodes. If you catch me at the right time, I might tell you that it should be number 1 for me personally. Yeah, I love Chain of Command. I'm actually, I don't know which best of list you were looking at. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it ranked that high, because usually when people talk about like the best TNG eps, Chain of Command, I mean, people don't think it's a bad episode, but it doesn't get mentioned, as highly as like Best of Both Worlds or Yesterday's Enterprise, or what's another one that gets talked about? Relics, the Spock 2-parter, which it's okay, but it's not like, one of my very, very, very favorites. But no, I mean, to me, Chain of Command is one of the very, very best TNG eps they ever did. So I would definitely rate it higher than 11. I might rate it at number 1, depending on how I'm feeling that day. Siamak, who has been saying he's going to send in a question for 2 days now. Greetings, Steve. I hope you're well. Well, another year almost in the books. Can't say I'll be sorry to leave this one behind. One thing I like to do on New Year's Day is get out for a walk and breathe in the new air. Do you have any New Year's traditions or habits? Not resolutions, but things you do every or most years. Yeah, I mean, going for a walk is one of mine too, if the weather permits, if it's not snowing or raining or, freezing cold. I also like to get out and go for a walk on New Year's Day, or just go out and do something. Even if it's just go out and get lunch from Sheets or something. You know what I mean? I don't like to stay in the house all day. I like to go out and do something. One of the things I have done, I did it when I was a younger adult, and I have done it since I've been living on my own. I've done it every single year, and that is go to bed on New Year's Eve well before midnight. I find that I really enjoy just skipping the whole countdown thing, skipping the New Year's Eve thing, going to bed in one year and waking up in the next year. There's something about that I just really like. And that is what I will do this year. I'll probably go to bed New Year's Eve around 10 o'clock, and I'll wake up New Year's Day whenever I wake up, and I'll have gone to sleep in 2025. And when I wake up, 2025 will be over. And 2026 will have begun. So that's a New Year's tradition that I really enjoy. Joe McClory, the latest Knives Out, highly recommend if you haven't. Deeply impacted me as a former Catholic. It is so nice to see people of faith that use it to be better as opposed to an excuse to be worse. My godmother, Aunt Harriet, is someone the movie made me think of. As so many have doubled down on hate, my 77-year-old aunt is still one of the kindest people I know, telling off a nephew for dead naming her NB grandchild. Do you have any stories of people in your life that give faith a good name? What a great story. Good on you, Aunt Harriet. No wonder Dick Grayson was so close to you. You're a good person. Do I have people of faith in my life that give faith a good name? I have over the years. I can't think of anyone at the moment. But yes, over the years, I have known people who were people of faith, who, as you mention in your question, using it as an excuse, using it to be better as opposed to an excuse to be worse. Who see it as a calling to love people and to accept people and to help people. My now former father-in-law, even though there were parts of his Christianity that I objected to, there were parts of his Christianity that I felt were small-minded and backwards and overly conservative. He also saw it as a motivation to be generous to people, as a motivation to help people in need. And I know he was, maybe still is, I don't know, but when I knew him, he was on the council of his church, and he was a voice to push that church to be more giving and, to be more generous with people in need in the area. So, even within the context of what I would consider a bad church and a church that taught bad teachings, he still had a core of, feeling called to help, feeling called to, to be generous to people. And that's the kind of Christianity that I can get behind. M.W. Ridra. Hey, Steve, my wife and I celebrated our 12th wedding anniversary last week and went and watched a version of A Christmas Carol set in the 1980s. I thought it was interesting and then wondered about a version set in the 2020s. That's when it occurred to me. Can you think of any billionaire who, after being visited by the tortured ghost of his dead friend and 3 sapient temporal anomalies, for the express purpose of pointing out how greedy and worthless he is, would actually change his ways? No. I cannot think of a single one. At least not, no one that I mean, do you think that would work on Elon Musk? I don't think so. Elon Musk would probably assume the whole thing was a ketamine hallucination. You think it would work on Jeff Bezos? Excuse me, Dana. Jeff Bezos? I don't. That's there. It has become so easy for wealthy people especially ultra wealthy people, to only hear what they want to hear and to only be faced with the version of themselves that makes them comfortable and makes them feel special. That it would take more than three spirits to change any of them, to even convince them that change was necessary. Yeah, it would be an interesting challenge to write a version of A Christmas Carol set in modern day that acknowledged the current state of things. That would be a really interesting challenge to take on as a writer. Um, I mean, unless you're going to change the ending and Scrooge doesn't reform, which you could do, you know, I'm sure there's a way to make that work. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there are any billionaires right now that would be that they could be Scrooged. Jan, for Christmas for me, I bought a hardbound copy of The Great Gatsby to read along. So my question was going to be, when are you going to post the reading? But now I know, and I'm delighted to read along. So no other question this year. Thank you for all you do. Here's hoping we see improvement in 2026. Take care. Thank you very much, Jan. Yeah, today, chapter 9 went up. So all 9 chapters of The Great Gatsby have now been released. And on Sunday, the the edited version of all 9 chapters together will come out. So the 9 individual chapters will still be up, and there will also be like a full version that's just a single video of all 9 chapters stitched together that you can watch as well, and read along with if you ever feel like reading along with the entire novel in one sitting and you want to hear me, you know, narrating it while you read it, or you just want to sit down for close to 5 hours and just hear me tell you the story all in one go. You can do it that way too. But yes, my version of The Great Gatsby, my reading of The Great Gatsby is out, and I am very, very happy with it. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I'm very gratified for the comments of the people who have watched it, who seem to have enjoyed it. So yeah, I hope you do watch it, and I hope you do read along with it. That's really cool. Brian Baker, Steve, what, if any, are your New Year's resolutions? I'm going to try to get my life together and be happy. Well, those are excellent resolutions. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I have plans for things I want to do in the new year. I have goals. I don't think I would call them resolutions. I mean, and most of it's just like practical stuff. Like I have a couple of loans that I am within striking distance of paying off. So I want to pay those loans off. And I think I will. You know, like I feel like it's extremely doable for me to have both of those loans paid off. Really, probably by not too far into the year. Like I'm this close on paying both of them off. So, but you know, stuff like that, stuff where I'm like, okay, I'm in a pretty good position now that in the next year I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, like stuff like that. So not really self-improvement resolutions, but more like, okay, what's next kind of resolutions. Yeah. But I hope you are successful in getting your life together and being happy. I really am, my friend. Isaiah Taylor, happy holidays, Steve. Nothing serious, just asking what sorts of holiday traditions and things you do for the holidays. Favorite movies, holiday songs, etc. I know you're not really a holiday and party person, but what sorts of things do you do for the holidays at the Shives household? Thank you and happy holidays. Here's to 2026. And same to you, my friend. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit already, but yeah, I mean, there's certain movies that I like to watch. As far as songs, I haven't really talked about songs. I always try to make time to listen to the John Lennon Christmas song, Happy Christmas, War is Over. That's a favorite. In terms of like, what do I do in the household? I don't really do any Christmas decorations except for my granny's little light up ceramic Christmas tree. I put that out on the dining room table. It's out there right now. If you haven't, you've probably seen them before. A lot of people have them, but if you've never seen it, it will probably be visible in the upcoming Stuffy and Friends Christmas video, which I'm shooting this weekend and will be out probably on Christmas Eve. Actually, no, I think it's going to come out on Christmas Day because Christmas Day is Thursday. It'll probably be out on Christmas Day. But anyway, you'll see it there. I think there'll be at least a couple of shots where you'll see the Christmas tree, the little ceramic Christmas. But I'm sure you've seen trees like that a million times. But you know, stuff like that. And like I said earlier, sometimes I like to drive around and look at Christmas lights. There's a park near here not the park that I go for walks at, but a park in the next town over, um, that always does a big Christmas decoration thing. And I haven't gone, and you drive through it, and I haven't gone to see that yet. So I'll probably go to see that at some point between now and Christmas. Um, just stuff like that. And on Christmas Day, I go and have dinner with my dad. It's my dad and me and my brother and my dad's girlfriend. That's been the core group for the last several years, and that's always something I look forward to. So, yeah, just typical Christmas stuff. The Merry Member. So, Steve, what's your favorite holiday song, and what holiday traditions did you do growing up? And you still did as an adult or still do today? P.S. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Um, well, I already mentioned the John Lennon song. In terms of more traditional Christmas songs, as far as like Christmas hymns or sacred Christmas songs, I love "Oh Holy Night." Um, I always really liked the song "Silver Bells" for some reason. I'm not sure why, but that song got in my head when I was a little kid, and I've always loved Silver Bells. But I think my favorite Christmas song, and again, one that I always try to listen to or take in some form every Christmas, is the one that goes, "Open up your heart and let the Patrick Swayze Christmas in. We'll gather out the roadhouse with our next of kin. And Santa can be our regular Saturday night thing. We'll decorate a bar stool and gather round and sing. Oh, let's have a Patrick Swayze Christmas this year, or I'll tear your throat out and kick you in the ear. It's my way or the highway this Christmas at my bar. I'll have to smash your kneecaps if you bastards touch my car. I got the word that Santa has been stealing from the till. I think that right jolly old elf better make out his will. Oh, let's have a Patrick Swayze Christmas one and all, and it can be the haziest. It can be the laziest. It can be the Swayziest Christmas of them all. Fa la 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 la. I think that's my favorite holiday song. Matthew Datcher, I saw your Nobel Prize video a few days ago. Now I need to know where you purchased your polo shirts. Oh, Amazon. I got those. Um, Whenever I need to get like a particular article of clothing for a video, like if I feel like I need to have some kind of costume for a video, I usually just hit up Amazon and find something that looks decent enough to read how I need it to read on video and isn't like that expensive. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not I'm not like a super discriminating shopper when I need to get clothing for the videos, but yeah, I do have a few. I own more polo shirts now than I ever expected that I would, because I occasionally will wear them for video stuff. Russell, hey Steve, happy holidays. In lieu of Rob Reiner's passing, what were some of your favorite films he did? And what was some of your favorite performances he did as Mike on All in the Family? Stand By Me still has to be my number one film he directed. Sorry, this is a bit short. I just got home from the manager holiday party. There's no explanation necessary. It's completely fine. Yeah, Stand By Me is great. I think I said earlier, if I had to pick my favorite film he directed, it's Princess Bride. But yeah, Stand By Me is terrific. Um, and it kind of started that trend that was true for a while, where the best Stephen King movies were the ones that were adapted from his non-horror stories. Um, as far as his performances as Mike and All in the Family, again, I mentioned why I loved him as Mike and All in the Family earlier, but in terms of specific performances, the one where he and Archie, I think it's the one where he and Archie are trapped in the cooler together. He's really good in that. The one where it's what is it there? It's the one where it's really hot, like the temperature is through the roof. There's like a heat wave, and everybody's temper is really short. And Mike and Archie are arguing about something, and this was during the Watergate scandal. And of course, Archie, as a Republican, was a big Nixon fan. And Mike, I'll never forget his line and the beautiful way that Rob Reiner delivered it. He said, "I swear, Archie, piece by piece, you eat my heart out." And Archie just looks at him completely blank and goes, "I don't care." And Mike says, "Well, you're not going to get away with this." And Archie says, "Yeah, well, what are you going to do about it?" And Mike says this: "Watergate, Watergate, 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 Watergate." He just like screams Watergate in his face. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Also, the Draft Dodger, the Draft Dodger Christmas episode. Just a perfect episode in general, and Rob Reiner as Mike is great in that. Caitlin L. Hey, Caitlin. Hi, Steve. Merry Crimbus. Thanks for keeping up the thought-provoking, hilarious, and kind videos this year. It's been a tough one for me. I don't have much to say, but I also wanted to thank you for keeping the 99p tier on membership. A lot of other people have the minimum set at $3 or even $5. Question. I know. What's your favorite curry? Mine is either Madras or jalfrezi. P.S. Sorry for submitting this 3 minutes before the deadline. That's okay. What's the vegan one? Is it Chohan masala or Choran masala? It's a CH something masala that's made from chickpeas. That I don't know if it's even still around. There used to be a vegan or an Indian restaurant around here that had that on the menu, and I would get that occasionally. That was really good. So probably that. Probably that. I can't remember. Cholan or Chohan or Choran masala, something like that. Anyway. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the kind words, and happy holidays to you too. And I really appreciate you. Arrow on Fire, is life worth living? Yes. I like the easy ones like this. Yes, life is worth living. Rest assured, if you ever doubt it, let me reassure you. Yes, life is worth living. Dana the Delighted. Hi, Steve. Happy Friday, and especially happy Friday for me, as you well know. So, who do you think is happier? Me or the goblins? That's students in teacherese, FYI. Yes, this was the last day before holiday break for many schools in the States, and specifically for the school where Dana teaches in Georgia. Who's happier, you or the kids? I think probably you. I think probably you, because both because you are a teacher and also because you are who you are, you carry the weight a lot more heavily of the school year than the kids do. I think, at least most of I'm sure there are some kids who hate school or had a really tough time, and they are absolutely thrilled to be done with school for a few weeks. But in general, I think you're probably happier. Yes. Last one. And this is Russell's second question as a member, first being because he was a patron. Hey, Steve, what are some of your favorite holiday films? And if you get a chance, does Stuffy like holiday films? I wonder which ones he likes. Anyways, some of my favorites are It's a Wonderful Life, Christmas Story, Scrooged, and Henry Winkler's An American Christmas Carol. If you have not seen that one, I do recommend it again. Happy holidays, and to you and to Stuffy. Stuffy always used to like It's a Wonderful Life more than I did, but in more recent years, I have come to appreciate it. So now we kind of both like that one, but that used to be a favorite of Stuffy's, It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, I mean, I talked about some of them already. Miracle on 34th Street, the Alastair Sim Christmas Carol, Batman Returns. Oh, and Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't think I answered that part of the question earlier. Yes, Die Hard. Of course, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. And yeah, and I mean, I watch like Christmas episodes of TV shows. Like I always or almost always try to watch The Gift of the Meepiat, which is one of the Christmas episodes of Perfect Strangers. What else? Well, there's the Christmas episode of MacGyver. I don't watch that every year. I don't feel the need to watch that every single year. It's not that great, but it's there if I want it. Oh, and the Christmas episodes of Mystery Science Theater, obviously. I just sang Patrick Swayze Christmas. That's from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And most years I will watch one of the classic MST3K Christmas episodes. There are two. There's Patrick Swayze Christmas. There's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and there's also Santa Claus, which is a wonderfully bizarre, low budget Mexican film called Santa Claus that they riff. That is just great. And they did the revival of Mystery Science Theater did a Christmas episode as well a few years ago, and the movie was Christmas Dragon, and that was fun, but not. I haven't gone back and revisited it. It hasn't like drilled into my brain like Santa Claus or Santa Claus Conquers the Martians has. But yeah, I usually watch a Christmas episode of Mystery Science Theater as well. So yeah, those are part of my my regular holiday watching. And speaking of stuffy, actually, let me do this first. Let me do the traditional rebooting of the live chat viewer. And as I do that, I will remind everybody that speaking of stuffy, it is time, since I have finished up answering the patron and member questions, it is now time to show you a brand new Stuffy and Friends short, which I will be doing in just a moment as soon as the chat pops back up. Come on, baby. There it is. Hi, everybody. Okay, I'll get to you in a second. It's time for Stuffy. So this is a brand new Stuffy and Friends short. It will go up on its own as a standalone YouTube short tomorrow, but because you, as a person of good taste, are watching this live stream right now, you get to see the Stuffy short before anybody else. So please do now enjoy this brand new Stuffy and Friends short. Which fictional character would you say is your role model?
Godzilla.
Really?
Yes.
Godzilla.
Does that surprise you?
A little, yeah.
How come?
Because Godzilla destroys the city. He topples buildings. He kills people.
Right, but that's not the Godzilla I'm talking about.
Is there another Godzilla?
Well, it's the same Godzilla, technically, I suppose, but my role model is the Godzilla from the 60s and 70s, when he's the one they call for help after another monster shows up to attack Tokyo.
Oh, cute puppy dog Godzilla.
Exactly. Appropriate, don't you think?
I get it. I can see it. That Godzilla is still a monster, though. Is that how you see yourself?
No, it's not how I see that version of Godzilla either. He's more like a force of nature, but a conscious one that can be used to protect people from harm and do good, with a little coaxing.
That's the only bit that doesn't really work, because you never need coaxing to do the right thing. You're the one who's usually encouraging everyone else to get off their asses and do something.
That's true. It can be a little exhausting. In fact, it would really be a big help if sometimes you
Aren't you going to ask me who my fictional role model is?
Who is your fictional role model?
George Washington.
He wasn't fictional.
Oh, sorry. George Washington from Hamilton. The one with teeth and without slaves.
That's a good one. Not that him having teeth means anything.
Of course not. My pap had false teeth. He was a role model to me.
And he wasn't fictional.
No, he was a bullshitter. There's a difference. He was a bullshitter, too. One of the great bullshitters. Let me acknowledge a couple of super chats that came in while I was answering the patron and member questions. First, Sophie Bliss just sent one in without a message. Thank you, Sophie, very much. I appreciate that. Tasby12 sent one and says, give Star Trek the Motion Picture a break. Every sci-fi movie of the late 70s was ripping off Star Wars. Star Trek the Motion Picture decided to do something original and rip off 2001. And look, I mean, it's not that I think Star Trek the Motion Picture is a terrible movie. In fact, once you get past that fucking just sadistically slow first act, once it actually gets moving a little, it's pretty good. But man, that first half hour, 45 minutes or so are fucking brutal. It's just so slow and ponderous. And like, how long are we going to watch these fuckers fly around this fucking ship? Get in the ship and start the movie. God damn it. Once you get past all of that horse shit, it quickens up a little bit and becomes a decent movie. But whew. But no, it's not. I mean, it's not even the worst Star Trek movie by far. So I don't want to give the impression that like I think it's terrible. But it's not my favorite. And then Debbie Bannister with a super chat as well. Thank you so much, Debbie, very much. Says, Merry Christmas, Steve, and Happy New Year. You will be missed until January 7th. Well, now keep in mind, I'm not taking all that time off completely. Dana and I are taking Wednesday off for Trek Reluctantly over the holidays. And I'm not doing Star Trek retro reviews for the next 2 weeks. But my other regular videos I'm still going to do. So I'm not taking like the whole time off. I'm easing back on a couple of things over the holidays, but I'm still, the regular videos on Monday and Wednesday are still happening. And also on Thursday, on Christmas Day, like I mentioned earlier, there's a brand new Stuffy video coming out. There's a Stuffy Christmas video. So I'm not going anywhere over the holidays, but I'm doing slightly fewer videos, but I'm not completely disappearing. Caitlin says, Stuffy is so considerate, humoring you about the fictional role model. Yeah. And someone earlier said, oh, Hans is definitely the one who talks to the police. Well, if Stuffy is there, Stuffy is definitely the one who talks to the police. But if Stuffy is not available, Hans would definitely be the next one. Like you certainly don't want Jack to talk to the police. And me, the Stuffy video version of me is probably not the best person to talk to the police either. The version of me from the Stuffy videos has a lot in common with my character from the Ensign's log. He's not quite as much of a complete buffoon and basket case as Ensign Johnson is, but he's, they're on the same continuum. But yeah, you would want, if somebody needed to talk to the cops, you'd want Stuffy to be that guy. And if Stuffy wasn't there, but Hans was, yeah, you would want Hans to be that guy. Because Hans is an actor and he can portray a responsible person. Oh, Zoxion says, I feel the same way about most of 2001. How dare you? It's like one of my favorite movies. And see, 2001, we were talking earlier about like slow-paced Star Trek episodes. Yeah, the pacing of 2001 is really slow, but I think it works. Like I wouldn't change a single thing about 2001. It's a very deliberately paced movie, but I think it's brilliant. I sit and watch it and I'm absorbed the whole time and I'm never bored. But it is a very deliberate pace. Super chat from John Collins, who said, I've had to end my memberships to your channel, Unexpected Bills. However, your Reiner response is absolutely spellbinding. I will still watch. Well, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. And I mean, no explanation necessary. I understand. If money is tight, believe me, I'm not going to like hold it against you. I can't believe he's not a member anymore. It's completely fine. And I appreciate the super chat. Here's one from Neil Klein as well. I saw Star Trek The Motion Sickness when it first came out. That soundtrack was incredible, but that fly through the cloud was ponderous. I mean, the fly through the cloud is actually when it starts to pick up a little, ironically. To me, the part that makes me like, if I'm holding imagine I'm watching Star Trek The Motion Picture and I'm holding a pencil, and the moment when I throw the pencil in the air in frustration, when I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's when they hit the wormhole. Because like the ship has just left Earth. The ship is finally going somewhere. We've done the fucking endless, completely unnecessary fan wank flyby of the Enterprise. Everybody's finally there, except for Spock, but they pick him up, not long after. But the ship has finally left Earth. And the first thing that happens is they create an artificial wormhole that makes everything start moving slowly. And I'm like, are they fucking with us? What is going on? The whole movie has been moving like fucking, sap in the winter, And now they're doing a whole scene where everything slows down. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Now, again, at once Spock shows up, after all that is, it starts to pick up the pace a little, and it becomes watchable, and eventually gets to a point where it's pretty good. But Jesus fucking Christ, that first act is a crime against humanity. Oh, this is a good one from some random geek. Which is better, Muppet Christmas Carol or Muppet Treasure Island? Muppet Christmas Carol is a better movie, but I think, and I mean, Michael Caine is great in Muppet Christmas Carol, but I mean, it's hard to vote against Tim Curry. I'll put it that way, especially when surrounded by Muppets. Yeah, and by the way, yes, Kirak, another Ask Away in 2 weeks and a hangout on the 28th. Yes, that's the plan. Oh, super chat from Kintsugi Sai. Thank you very much. Amara says, remember when the O'Briens decided it was obviously better to abandon Molly on a planet in the past than let her talk to a therapist? Yeah, like, was that even brought up? I think I've talked about that before, about that episode, because, you know, it's a TV show and it's an hour long, and timelines are kind of compressed. But so you cut it some slack for that, but it is a little ridiculous. It's like, man, they're just giving up on this way early. Like, yeah, okay, Molly is in that episode. Molly is traumatized. Yeah, she's having to adjust to, you know, from her perspective, like a completely new scenario that's totally alien to her. And it's like, you know, well, it might take some time. You know, like, we don't need to do this right now. She might just need some time. But yeah, it's a TV show. So, Wolferman Hard with a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, Merry Christmas. How to logically explain the awesomeness of the Maryland flag? Is smashing of Calvert and Crossland family arms abstract art decades before invention? How to explain it? I mean, you know, it might be one of those things where, to those who understand, no explanation is necessary, and to those who don't understand, no explanation is possible. Maybe that's it. Let me go back and find a few that I missed here. Caitlin says, I get the impression Stuffy would seem to be compliant with the police, but spends so long being nice and polite and helpful, the actual info they want never comes out. Yeah, Stuffy, that's the thing about Stuffy. Stuffy is unfailingly polite and kind, but Stuffy is also one of us politically. He's not like the biggest fan of the cops, so he would not be, you know, aggressive. But yes, if he felt like, you know, the cops were on the wrong track or acting inappropriately, or, you know, or if there was someone that the cops were after that Stuffy wanted to protect, I think he would definitely do that sort of thing. Yeah. While appearing to be as helpful as possible. Yes. David C. Drake says, what say you to a presumptuous man who says, I don't fear assault or accusation. I fear flirtation / cheating that will obviously happen frequently if I'm alone with a woman. I would say, well, that sounds like a you problem. Cast Iron Chaos with a super chat. Jingle bells, everyone. Batman, you'd hate Christmas too if kids around the world sang You Smell. Poor Batman. Poor Batman. It secretly really hurts his feelings. He tries to act like he's above it and he doesn't care, but secretly it's like just the single tear comes down. Yeah, Geek, it sounds like we agree on Treasure Island and Christmas. Yeah, I think Muppets Christmas Carol is a better movie. But yeah, I mean, put Tim Curry on screen with Muppets and it's like, there you go. Just go for it, man. Just go nuts. Stephen G. Clenard, you were just in a bad mood tonight. You hate Christmas. You hate the Maryland flag. You know, I just don't know what I'm going to do with you. $255 AD says, your response to my question reminded me of a Terry Pratchett anecdote. Fans would say, you should do Discworld Pirates. And he'd say, what would they do? Pirates being pirates isn't a story. I guess that's true. Merry Christmas to you too, Debbie. Crypto Wolf says, do you play any Star Trek games like Star Trek Resurgence? No, I am not a gamer. I think we talked about this in a recent stream. I have played Star Trek games here and there in the past, and I think I still have Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Star Trek Judgement rights either on my computer or I bought them on Steam and I can download them again. But other than that, and I think I played... a friend gave me a copy of Star Trek Bridge Commander a long time ago, and I played that. I never played it all the way through, but I played it here and there, and it was okay. It was fun. But no, I've never been huge into any of the Star Trek games. If I felt like playing one again, it would probably be 25th Anniversary or Judgment Rights. I enjoyed those. Fucking impossible to win that last episode. I think I talked about that the last time we mentioned it too. Star Trek 25th Anniversary, the last episode, the final starship battle, fucking impossible. Like fucking pick your computer up and throw it into the wall. Frustrating. But up until that point, hell of a fun game. Oh, some random geek says, how does Robin lay an egg? Well, I think he squats and, he uses his abdominal muscles and he just pushes it out. Geek says, I can hear it calling in the air tonight. Yeah. How do you not like that song, man? How do you not like that song? Not super Christmassy, I'll give you that. Not seasonally appropriate, but how do you not like In the Air Tonight? God damn it, what a great song. Oh, Blade Winter says, how much do you know about Red Dwarf? I'm familiar with it. I've never watched it, but it has been highly recommended to me by many people. I'm sure I will get around to watching it at some point. Yeah, I'm sure I will get around to watching it. But I know basically the gist of it, that it's like it's a very highly regarded sci-fi comedy. Amara says, Amara et al., I should say, says, with a super chat. Thank you very much. Stuffy strikes us as a gamer, possibly Parcheesi. Yeah, I think I could. Yeah, Stuffy's definitely not like a video gamer, and he's not like a role-playing gamer, because I would never do that to Stuffy as his creator. I would never ever make Stuffy that kind of a gamer ever. But yeah, he might be into like old school, like card games. Stuffy would be good and would be interested in playing like old lady games. Let's put it that way. Like, parlor games, old lady card games, that kind of thing. I remember somebody once tried to teach me, gin rummy, and it was one of those situations where I almost had to flee the room in tears. Like, the rules made no sense to me. I was like, I don't know. And they were like, well, let's just play a hand and you'll get it. I didn't get it. I have no idea what the fuck that game is. Like, there are certain things that just my brain it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You can try to explain it to me 100 different ways. I'm never going to get it. And playing gin rummy is apparently one of those things. I do not fucking get. And there are a couple of card games where I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I can watch people play it. You can explain the rules to me, and I'm still going to be like, yeah, I have no idea what this even is. Would Stuffy enjoy an evening of charades, says Dana? Yes, absolutely. Yes, there's an episode, one of my favorite gags from an episode of the old version of Stuffy and Friends, back when it was called Steve and Stuffy. There's an episode where the gang plays charades. It's one of my favorite gags. because it's always like, because they're stuffed animals, and within the fiction of the show, they're perfectly capable of moving. They move all the time. They live in the world like regular people. But because they're stuffed animals, whenever they're on camera, they never actually move. So all of their movements are implied. So in the charades episode, it was always the reaction shot. One of them would be, out on the floor doing charades, and the rest of us would be reacting to it and trying to guess, or impressed by how good of a charades player one of them was. Like, yeah, that was really fun. It was one of my favorite gags for that I've ever done for a Stuffy video. Sinister Intelligence. What? Yeah, if I haven't answered your question, it might be because I didn't see it, or it might be because I may have missed it. I'm scrolling back and I don't see it. But if you wanted to ask it again, feel free. Greg Gildersleeve says, I've been watching old Genesis videos, like them better than Collins' solo stuff. 2 favorite songs. Abacab, Turn It On Again, fave video, the Land of Confusion video is great with the puppets. And Land of Confusion is just a great fucking song. I mean, full stop. Kirok with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Says, you and Dana watched Inquisition, which guest stars William Sadler. I love that actor. What are your thoughts of him in general? No, I agree. He's great. He's a great actor. I love William Sadler. Michael Hanlon says, what lengths would the ghosts have to go to actually scare a billionaire straight? Or is that not stream safe to say? I mean, they would have to do something. They would have to do something pretty extreme. Because here's the thing. What ultimately changes Scrooge is an awakening of his empathy, right? What finally pushes Scrooge over the edge and convinces him that he needs to change. It's not just that he saw his future and he was dead. It's not just that he saw that people were selling his things. It's that he realized that time was running out, that life is finite. Like, that's what seeing his dead body and seeing his grave meant. Life is finite. You're running out of time. And people don't care about you. Like, you have pushed away the entire world, and you have gathered money around yourself, but it has left you with nothing. Like, when you die, none of the things that mean anything to you now are going to mean anything. It's all going to be gone. If you want to leave a lasting legacy, you do that by being kind to people, by helping people, by caring about people, by using your wealth and your advantages to make the lives of others better. That's what Scrooge realizes. And it awakens it's the same thing that happens to the Grinch. Like, that's what the Grinch is. That's a reference to what Scrooge undergoes. His heart grows 2 sizes, right? Or 3 sizes, whatever. And I don't know if there's enough empathy left in someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or one of those guys. Like, I don't know if there's anything in there. I don't know if there's an ember that can be kindled. The reason it works for Scrooge is because Scrooge is not completely dead. He still has a little bit of a heart in there somewhere. And I don't know if that's the case with real life billionaires these days. Another super chat from Kirok. Thank you again, my friend. I often wondered, do you think Bashir crossed a line and became like Sloane in Extreme Measures? I mean, kind of, I guess. But then again, that's the one where they do it to Sloane, right? So, fuck that guy. Kara says, Jesus He Knows Me is a great one too. Great video. And again, great song. And yeah, the disturbed cover of Land of Confusion is good too. I agree, Geek. I agree. Um, 255 AD. That story you were reading was really very good. Have you thought about trying to get this Great Gatsby thing published? I'll think about it. If you think it's good enough. If you think it's good enough. Um, Cast iron chaos. You mean getting your company to vote you a $1 trillion paycheck won't make the world better? Yeah, probably not. You know, the whole trickle down thing, it doesn't really work, it turns out. Um, Wolfram and Hart says if it weren't for A Christmas Carol, we wouldn't have Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales, top 3 Disney character in my opinion. And you know, there are so many things that are references to A Christmas Carol that it's kind of ridiculous. Um, I have a video. I'm shooting my Star Trek video, my Trek Actually video for this month tomorrow. So it's all written, and it's about Christmas themes in Star Trek. Because Star Trek never really, other than a few examples, a few exceptions, Star Trek never really acknowledges Christmas. There's not like a Christmas episode per se, so you have to dig a little deeper. And I talk about there are episodes that have parallels to A Christmas Carol, and there are episodes that have parallels to It's a Wonderful Life. And then at a certain point in the video, I say, you know, and there are some that could go either way. You could read it as a riff on It's a Wonderful Life, or you could read it as a riff on A Christmas Carol. And the reason for that, one of the reasons for that is It's a Wonderful Life itself is a riff on A Christmas Carol. You know, Christmas Carol is a hugely influential story. Super chat from Kirok. Thank you again, my friend, who says, I'm still curious, have you watched An American Christmas Carol with Henry Winkler? If so, what were your thoughts? Also loved your response to my last DS9 question. I think I watched it a long time ago. I don't really remember it. Maybe I should watch it again. But I don't really remember it. And before I get to the next super chat, I just see Geek says, is the Chuck Jones Grinch the best Grinch? My God, yes. Oh, Jesus. It's not even close. Yes, of course. Yes, the Chuck Jones Grinch, narrated by Boris Karloff, is perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I would watch anything by Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones was a genius. And super chat from Kintsugi Sai, thank you again, says, when the Grinch returned Christmas, the Who's reward him and forgive everything instantly and treat him like a hero. So modern 1% might want a parade. That's a good point. That's a good point. Scrooge is only really rewarded just by, you know, the feeling he gets from opening up to people and, you know, like embracing Christmas and embracing humanity. But the Grinch gets to join Christmas dinner and gets hailed as a hero. So yeah, maybe the rich today would enjoy the Grinch version better than the Scrooge version. Dana says, I've always thought of empathy as a skill that, like others, needs to be practiced to be maintained. Did the immediacy and extremity of Scrooge's conversion ever seem a bit of a stretch? Well, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But I don't hold that against it. I mean, it's a story. It's a fantasy. And it's a beautiful fantasy. And you know, Scrooge is not only a character, he is first and foremost a character, but Scrooge is also a symbol. You know, Dickens uses Scrooge to represent the wealthy in society and how they, in his time, and certainly still in our time as well, were neglectful of the poor, of those in need. And Dickens' point of view was that should change. And the rich should use their wealth to lift people up out of poverty instead of, you know, blaming the poor for being poor. So, you know, yeah. I mean, you're not going to, he didn't want to write a fucking Dostoevsky novel. He wanted to write a piece of popular fiction that people would actually read. And at the end of it, Scrooge sees the error of his ways. So, I mean, is it realistic and true? No, but there's fucking ghosts in it. Of course it's unrealistic. Um, let me see. Oh, 255 AD. Yes, I would have thought it was older than that. Says Mickey's Christmas Carol was made in 1983. Would you have thought it was older than that? Yes, I would have. I'm somewhat surprised that it originates in my lifetime. Yes, I would have thought it was older than that. Maybe not necessarily all the way back in the 40s, but I would have assumed it was older than that. That's really interesting. Um, yeah, Michael says seeing Tiny Tim suffer is a big point in motivating Scrooge, and Elon would just be like, "What a little loser." Yeah, exactly, exactly. Scrooge is clearly moved by seeing Tiny Tim at home with the Cratchits, and by seeing the whole Cratchits scene, by seeing how happy the Cratchits are. Because earlier in the story, Scrooge kind of mocks Bob Cratchit for loving Christmas so much. You know, like uh Cratchit said, Cratchit always wants he always wants the day off. He always wants Christmas Day off. And Scrooge assumes like, oh, he just wants the day off because he just doesn't want to come to work. And then Bob Cratchit says, Merry Christmas. And after Cratchit leaves, Scrooge kind of says to himself, like, yeah, Merry Christmas. He's on what I pay him. What's so merry about Merry Christmas for this guy? He doesn't have any money. He's got all those kids. What's so merry about Christmas for this guy? And then when he actually sees that scene, my favorite scene in the book of the Cratchit family Christmas, when the ghost of Christmas Present brings him there, and he gets it. He sees like, oh, these people love each other and they like being together. And yes, they're poor, and yes, they suffer because of that, but they enjoy their togetherness, and it's a joyous day for them. He gets it, and he feels something, and he feels sorry for Tiny Tim for being sick. And then as soon as he displays some empathy toward Tiny Tim, as soon as he says, Spirit, tell me, will the child live? Not only does the ghost of Christmas Present say, if the shadows of the future are not altered, the child will die, he also immediately hits Scrooge with his own words. He doesn't just say, yes, if these shadows are not altered, the child will die, and there will be a crutch by an empty chair carefully preserved. And Scrooge, is saddened by that. And the ghost of Christmas Present says to Scrooge, well, what of it? If he is going to die, hadn't he better do it and decrease the surplus population? Like, he throws Scrooge's own words back in his face at that moment when Scrooge is just starting to get it, and it really starts to drive it home. And yeah, would Elon be open to that? Probably not. Would Elon even get it? Or would Elon be like, oh man, I said the same thing? You know? Oh, Darth Eddie. Tapestry is mentioned in the video. In the video I'm making. Yes, Tapestry is definitely mentioned. Patrick Stewart's Christmas Carol, Hypatia Stanhope. Yes. Yes. Now, are you talking about the one-man show or the movie? Because the TV movie that he did where he played Scrooge is not bad. Like, I actually like that version. It's better than it's not my favorite. I don't think it's as good as the Alastair Sim version, but it's actually a pretty good version, especially if you consider that it was like a fucking basic cable TV movie. But the one-man show, which is preserved in audiobook form, that's another thing I didn't mention. It. I listen to it every single year without fail, and almost always on Christmas Day itself. And usually that's what I'll do. That's what I'm doing in the morning before I'm getting ready to leave to go to my family's house to have dinner, to have Christmas dinner. I'll listen to the Patrick Stewart Christmas Carol audio book, and it's just Patrick Stewart performing the book. He does all he's doing a lot more than I did during my reading of The Great Gatsby. He's actually performing the characters and doing different voices, and it's fantastic. It's just fantastic. 255 AD says, oh no, I saw that one already. Let me see. Super chat from Kirok. maybe you can help out with this, but there was a Daffy Duck cartoon where he makes this rich dog laugh and gets his inheritance. And yeah, I don't know that one. I don't know that one. 255 AD says, as a leftist, I would rather the ghosts just send Scrooge to hell and distribute his wealth. I mean, that might be interesting to try as a twist on the classic story. Yeah. maybe that's how you do the modern version. Maybe the message of the modern version is, you know what? The modern day versions of Scrooge are so far past redemption that we're not even going to try to change their hearts. We're just going to drag them to hell and give their money away. Like, that's the best we can hope for. It's a little bleak, but that may in fact be the situation that we are in. Yeah, Keurig, I don't think I know that one. The minute Daffy gets greedy, the money starts to disappear. I don't think I know that one. John Stewart says, have I watched any of the Doctor Who Christmas specials? I've watched the ones up to, I guess, up to like the second or third Matt Smith season, because that's where I'm at. That's where I stopped watching the last time I stopped watching. Yeah, I thought they were good. The ones I've seen so far, I thought were good. The one that's like David Tennant's first like proper episode, I think. His first like full episode was a Christmas episode, wasn't it? I remember thinking that one was really good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You should check out this. You should check out the Patrick Stewart A Christmas Carol audiobook. Yeah, it is brilliant. Yeah, the TV movie is good. Like, I'm not saying I don't think it's bad at all, but you know, I don't think it compares to the Alistair Sim version for me. And yeah, in terms of like the Patrick Stewart full audiobook performance, like that, to me, that's where it's at. Oh, Brian, I mentioned the ref earlier. I'm glad you brought that back up. Brian with a super chat says, your thoughts on The Ref, a Christmas movie with Dennis Leary. I love The Ref. I think it sucks that we now know what we know about Kevin Spacey. That sort of taints it for me and makes me a little less eager to watch it. But I think that's a great movie. I love that movie. And it was Dennis Leary's first like big movie where he's like playing a character. He's not just, you know, kind of capitalizing on his stand-up persona. And he's really good. He's young as an actor in that. He's not nearly as experienced as an actor, and you can kind of tell. And he becomes a much smoother, more confident actor as his movie career goes along. But he's really good in that, and has some great lines, well delivered. I mean, like when he has to be held back from attacking Lloyd's mom because Lloyd's mom is so terrible, and he has to Lloyd has to hold him back. He's like, I fucking hate her, Lloyd. And he has that great line because her husband, she's a widow, her husband is dead, and that's when and Dennis Leary's character says, your husband ain't dead, lady, he's hiding. Oh, Car, a few audio credits. You mean, should you treat yourself to the Patrick Stewart Christmas Carol? Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it. 255 AD says, did you know when Dickens was a child, a volcano caused multiple extremely cold winters in a row, and that's why he invented the White Christmas? I didn't know the bit about the White Christmas. I did know about the extremely cold winters during his childhood, but I didn't know there was a Christmas connection to that. Oh, okay, Kirok, you figured somebody mentioned it. Okay. Daffy Dilly. I will remember that. Caitlin says, I liked Rose's mom going, does he have two of anything else after she finds out Time Lords have two hearts? But no, that's Klingons. Perfect. Perfect. Star Trek really needs to I don't it doesn't need to like, don't mention it like all the time, but maybe mention it once more just to really remind everybody that that is officially canon. Klingons have two dicks, okay? Everybody. Klingons have two dicks. Picking the Kevin Spacey films off like anchovies. I like that. Super chat. That's good. Let me find maybe one more here, and then I'll start doing my wrap up. Oh, Mr. Potter, Daryl. One time I pictured the villain in It's a Wonderful Life, forget the character's name, as Big Brother in the book and movie. That's an interesting idea. You picture Big Brother as Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life. That's really interesting. I that kind of works. That kind of works. Oh, the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special. I forgot to mention that one. Yes. Yes, I always watch that one every year too, or most years. Maybe not every year, but most years I watch the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special. And man, if you were a kid in the 80s and a He-Man fan like I was, that was such a big deal because they aired it in prime time. Like, I think that show aired in prime time on like CBS, at least the first year. I don't think they aired it like many, many years, but at least the first year it came out, like there's an episode, there's an hour long episode of He-Man and She-Ra teaming up, and it's a Christmas episode, and it's going to be on at like 8 o'clock at night when the grown-ups watch TV. That was the coolest thing ever. And now, of course, I have it on DVD and I'm going to watch it. And yet I think it's on YouTube as well. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. You should check it out. Oh, Brian with a super chat says, thoughts on what the DOJ released, anything coming about that? I don't have a plan to make a video about it at the moment. I might in the coming days or weeks, but I mean, it unfortunately doesn't seem like that big of a deal because it's been redacted all to hell, which isn't that surprising, but it's still disappointing. Okay, I'm going to do my wrap up and then I'll come back. So if there are any final questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat and I'll see if there are any once I'm done with my end of show spiel. So first of all, thank you all so much for watching, and thanks especially to those of you who are Patreon patrons and channel members. I could not do this without you. I appreciate you so much for enabling me to have this job. That's basically what the situation is. I'm glad that what I do on YouTube means enough to enough of you that you have become regular contributors to support the channel. It means the world to me. And if you are not currently a supporter and you would like to become one, you can become a patron at patreon.com/Steve Shives. You can become a channel member by clicking the join button. And either way, one of the perks that you can take advantage of is you can submit questions ahead of time for these twice monthly Ask Away live streams. And those are the questions I always answer in the first part of the show. Patreon.com/Steve Shives, or click the join button to become a channel member. And also, please remember, especially important this time of year, Geek put the links into the chat again already. Charitylinks.page. If you have a few extra bucks lying around and you would like to do some good for somebody in need, there are all kinds of people, friends of ours, friends of Some Random Geek, in that doc that are maintained by Geek, who curates those links. PayPal links, GoFundMe links, Ko-fi links, etc., for people who need a little help. And if you have a few spare bucks lying around and you can help out, please consider donating to some of our friends who are listed on charitylinks.page. That would really be a great way to pay it forward this holiday season. Also, don't forget, if you enjoy my YouTube stuff, you might enjoy the podcasts that I am a part of. that are under the Lemmy Listen umbrella. There is Late Seating, the movie review podcast, which I do with my very best friend in the whole world, the great Jason Harding. And our last episode that we recorded is our Christmas show, which is our riff track, our commentary track for Gremlins. So the way that will work is you queue up your copy of Gremlins wherever you watch it, whether you have it on DVD or you're going to stream it or whatever, and then you push play on Gremlins and you push play on our podcast. Actually, you push play on our podcast first, and then Jason will tell you when to push play on Gremlins, and you watch it along with us. And we make fun of it and talk about it, make our little jokey jokes, and we all enjoy watching Gremlins together for Christmas. We had a great time recording it. It was a lot of fun to watch Gremlins with Jason and talk about it. And you can experience it as well in the most recent episode of Late Seating. And also, of course, there is the Ensign's Log, the Star Trek themed improv comedy podcast that Jason and I do along with our friend Amanda. And that is a ton of fun as well. If you enjoy Star Trek stuff, if you enjoy stuff that makes fun of Star Trek, that takes an irreverent, lighthearted, sort of spoof kind of look at Star Trek, I think you'll really enjoy the Ensign's Log as well if you are not currently listening to it. And links to all of those wonderful things are in the video description. And now let me take one final peek over here at the live chat and see what folks are saying before we wrap this baby up. Oh, 255 AD says, I read a sci-fi story once where a godlike alien put a former Nazi guard into a simulation where he has to experience the death of everyone he killed. That's kind of Christmas Carol-esque. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's also a little bit like the Vic Morrow segment of the Twilight Zone movie, which we all remember, unfortunately, for the real life death of Vic Morrow that happened on the set. But the story itself is somewhat reminiscent of that. Oh, Blade Winters says, I thought they couldn't redact it. It was part of the law. They said, well, they redacted the shit out of it. So, some random geek says, why is pizza so good? Because crust and cheese and sauce. That's why pizza good. Sauce and cheese and crust make pizza good. Well, here's the Cast Iron Cast. I would love to do a YouTube short of me singing Patrick Swayze Christmas. It's not my song. Like, I feel like I can get away with it in the live stream, but I'm not sure. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not my song. But I'm glad you really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. Supporting the channel is paying for therapy. No pressure, Neil. Thank you. 255 AD says, my favorite Donald Duck short is The Plastic Inventor. Have you seen that one? I don't remember. Probably not. Gremlins is such a weird movie. You are right, Geek. You are right. I enjoy it, but it is super weird. Yeah. Okay. I think that'll be it. I'm going to call the festivities to a close. Thank you all so much for being here. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate. Happy holidays to everybody. And I will see you again in 2 weeks for another one of these. Please take care of yourselves and have a good night. Have a good weekend. Have a good holiday. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everything. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.